Hi, I'm Clare Thorn. I work at Central State University Extension, and today we're in the 4-H Youth Garden where the participants helped plant some crops. In the background, I'm not certain if you can see them, are tomatoes and green beans, but I had also propagated some of these African heritage crops that I have been awarded a grant to research whether they can grow into the Ohio climate and be viable seeds for the following years to grow. So we're at the end of our season. We're going to pick the last two watermelons that we have here. These are particularly white, Odell white watermelon that was propagated by an enslaved African back in 1840 at the property where he was kept in South Carolina at a plantation. So we're going to go ahead and harvest these, and then we're going to cut one open to see what it looks like. And I'm just clipping at the vine where it has been attached. And here's the first one. We hit the largest one we harvested so far this season was 12¼ pounds. These feel close to it, feel about like 10 pounds. So let's see what we have here. I've put the watermelon on a bag so that we're not cutting directly onto the soil. And this watermelon is a light skinned watermelon with a light pink flesh. And you're starting to see some of the white seeds. So it's a white seeded watermelon. And we will save these seeds. I'll rinse them, dry them, and save them for next year's season to see if we can start with these seeds. That's the purpose of the grant. Again, just test the viability. And there's some more. The ones that we've tasted are very sweet and very juicy. And now what we'll do, we'll go on and see another crop that we're growing. It's just down here a little further. We got several nice specimens, but this is called a swan neck gourd, because it has the head of the swan with the long neck, and it's speckled. Now, the purpose of us growing this particular heritage crop is to tie into our education at the botanical garden and tying the significance to Follow the Drinking Gourd, which is a song and a story talking about how the enslaved people wanting to make their way north learned the song Follow the Drinking Gourd, and what that was referring to the North Star and the Big Dipper. And the slave owners just thought it was a spiritual. So I'm trying to bring that piece of information out to groups when they come to the botanical garden. So these aren't quite ready to harvest. They need to dry on the vine a little bit longer, and then they can be used for instruments, utensils, for artwork. There's many uses for these, and this was the smallest gourd that I wanted to grow. There's some that's called a bushel basket, and you can imagine be pretty large. A couple other crops we'll talk about before we end today are down this way a little bit further. So these are fish hot peppers. They start off green and white, and then will turn red. And last year I didn't wait long enough. I was too anxious. So I've let these go to maturity so that I can save the seeds this year to see about propagating my own plants. Again, that's the whole purpose of my grant, is working with farmers, growing the crops, taking them to market, saving seeds to see if they'll be viable for the following growing season. And by doing so, then the farmers can save money and not have to buy seeds. They'll have their own supply. Behind me, we have what's called iron and clay, southern pea. And Deer have been munching on the leaves, and I thought we weren't going to get anything, but I'm just now starting to see some pods forming. And these peas are a tan seed and a brown seed. And there's historical significance also to these crops. And again, growing them in Ohio much further north than where they were typically grown is the trial purpose. And the whole other idea is to bring a diversity of food back to our food system. So by providing these types of produce, we can have African refugees, immigrants, any other culture too, to have such foods available to them that maybe they're more accustomed to having. And these are our garden eggplant. This is about the typical size to pick. And you can see here, I've actually let them turn orange. Again, the whole idea is to be able to save seeds from a mature fruit. And what's cool about these can actually be eaten like an apple. The variety I grew last year was very bitter, and I've tasted one of these a couple of times, but basically the skin is bitter to me, but the fruit tastes like cucumber. So we'll see what this one tastes like. Again, the skin is bitter to me. Lots of seeds in there, but I don't think they're quite mature enough to save them yet. And if you can get a close-up of that. But that's the reason why I'm letting them turn orange. But that's a little bit about our African heritage crops here in the 4-H garden. I also have some slightly different crops over in our botanical garden just down the road. That way we're growing a couple of different crops in 2 different locations. But the enjoyment was that our young people got to experience and learn about African heritage crops. That's it for today.